The blizzard was a wall of white swallowing the small town whole, silencing everything under a thick, icy blanket. Inside the precinct, the frantic chatter of radios and the low hum of the heater fought a losing battle against the oppressive quiet. Suddenly, the heavy glass door was shoved open not by a person, but by a small, desperate force of nature. A puppy, so frail his ribs were a roadmap of starvation under his matted fur, stumbled across the linoleum floor. He was caked in snow and ice, his tiny paws raw and bleeding from miles of travel on frozen pavement. He collapsed in the center of the room, his entire body racked with violent, silent shivers. The few officers on duty stopped dead, their coffees frozen halfway to their lips. And then the little creature did something that stole the air from the room. With a monumental effort, he pushed his broken body up onto his fragile hind legs. He raised his trembling front paws and pressed them together over and over in a silent, desperate prayer. His eyes, dark pools of pure terror and a profound human-like intelligence, scanned their faces, begging for someone to understand. For a long moment, the only sound was the puppy's ragged breath. A few officers chuckled nervously, dismissing it as a strange trick, but Sergeant Evans, a broad-shouldered man with a decade of hardened experience, felt a cold dread that had nothing to do with the weather. He saw not a trick but a language, a final desperate attempt to communicate. He slowly crouched down, his duty belt creaking, bringing his face level with the dog's. "Easy now, fella," he murmured. The puppy, seeing a flicker of understanding, dropped to all fours, let out a sharp, urgent bark, and bolted back toward the frozen street. He stopped at the door, looking back, barking incessantly. "He's not asking for food," Evans said, his voice low and firm, already grabbing his heavy coat. "He's trying to tell us something. He wants us to follow." Without waiting for debate, he gestured to two colleagues and pushed out into the blinding gale. The little dog became a guided missile, a dark speck against the white, constantly looking back to ensure the giants in blue were still trailing him through the deepening snow, their own breath pluming in the icy air. The stray led them on a frantic march to the town's outskirts, where the houses thinned and empty fields took over. He then veered sharply off the road, scrambling down into a deep drainage ditch nearly invisible under the snowdrifts. Evans slid down after him, his heart hammering against his ribs. And then he saw it, a shape, a boot, part of a leg. He scrambled forward, brushing away the snow with his gloved hands to reveal an elderly man curled on his side, his skin a terrifying shade of pale blue. He was not moving. His clothes were thin, useless against the cold. The puppy ran straight to him, whining and frantically licking the man's frozen face, then pressing his own small, shivering body against the man's chest in a futile attempt to provide warmth. He looked back at Evans and once again performed that heartbreaking gesture, raising his paws together as if to say, "I led you here, now please, save him." Evans dropped to his knees, his training kicking in. He ripped off a glove and pressed two fingers against the man's icy neck, praying for a sign. Then he felt it. A pulse, faint, thready, but there. A spark of life fighting to stay alive. "He's alive," Evans roared, his voice cracking with emotion. "Get the ambulance here now. Tell them we have a severe hypothermia case." One officer was already on the radio, his voice frantic but clear. Another immediately shed his own heavy insulated jacket and draped it over the old man, trying to seal in any remaining warmth. The stray never left his side, a tiny, relentless guardian angel, his constant licking and nuzzling a testament to a bond none of them understood. Soon the beautiful screaming wail of sirens cut through the storm, and paramedics swarmed the ditch with a stretcher and thick blankets. As the paramedics worked, the puppy tried to leap onto the moving stretcher, his barks filled with panic. "Let him ride along," Evans insisted, his voice leaving no room for argument. "He's the reason we're all here. He found him." Inside the ambulance, the little dog finally settled, curling his now cleaner form against the man's side, his shivering subsiding as if he knew his duty was done. Hours later, in the sterile warmth of a hospital room, the old man's eyelids fluttered open. Disoriented, his gaze focused on the small, sleeping creature nestled beside him. As if sensing the wakefulness, the puppy stirred, lifted his head, and locked eyes with the man he had fought so hard to save. A single tear traced a path through the wrinkles on the man's cheek. With a trembling hand, he reached out. The puppy, in response, slowly rose one last time and pressed his paws together in that now familiar gesture of love and supplication before collapsing into the man's weak embrace. In the doorway, Sergeant Evans watched, his own eyes glistening. He hadn't just witnessed a rescue, he had witnessed a miracle of compassion, a language of the heart that needed no words, spoken by the smallest, bravest soul he had ever known.